Welcome to Champion Minded, the podcast for those who aim for excellence, not only in the sports arena, but in life. My name is Allistair, author, speaker, mindset and performance coach, and my goal is to help you unleash your unlimited potential and provide you with the tools to achieve greatness. Are you ready to become champion minded? Then let's do this. Hey guys, welcome to the Champion Minded podcast, or welcome back to it. I'm Allistair. In this episode, I'm going to be discussing 5 ways in which you can stay relevant. And it doesn't matter if you're a coach, teacher, leader, manager, whatever it may be. The important thing is to stay relevant with the times. We've seen those that don't change get left behind. Or one of my famous quotes, or one of my most enjoyable quotes is adapt or die. So this one's going to be for you guys. It doesn't matter what age you are. We need to stay relevant in where we are at this moment. So I've got 5 for you today. Number 1 is keep open-minded. Now, if there's one thing I've noticed in consulting with coaches, leaders, managers in corporates, etc., it's that those who are closed-minded, those who are saying, well, it's always been done that way, those are the ones that eventually are pushed out of positions, pushed out of jobs, etc. You have to stay open-minded. These days we've discussed that an autocratic style of leadership just doesn't work anymore. It turns people away. You don't gain the respect of people, which is so important in our industry, is to influence and to impact. But staying open-minded helps you to learn more things, helps you to understand situations better, helps you to, more importantly, understand people better, because everything is about people. But we've all come across people that aren't open-minded. They're very stuck in their ways. You'll usually find they're people that don't keep learning, keep investing in themselves. They just still stay with the same thing. They have that old thing, well, you know what, why change a winning plan? And here's the thing, is that your competitors catch up with you. And if you're not a lifelong learner, if you're not evolving, if you're not changing, if you're not learning every day, you're going to get left behind. And we know that successful people invest in themselves every day. They stay open-minded to learning things. One thing I do especially is I make sure I learn from everybody. It doesn't matter how old they are, what industry they're in. In fact, I love striking up conversations with strangers, especially that I travel so much. I get the opportunity to speak to so many different people on an airplane, for example. And it's just amazing who you meet, and also what connections I've been able to obtain from just chatting to a stranger, be it on a train or be it on a plane. But keeping open-minded is so important. I mean, you'll also realize that, or notice that people who are open-minded are more enjoyable to be around, because they're not set on their opinion. They're not set on that one thing. They're curious. They're curious to find out about other things. They're curious to find out about other careers and religions and whatever it may be. They might not have to agree with you, but they're just curious to understand and to learn. So that's number 1, is keep open-minded. Number 2, and this is a big one where I've really invested a lot of my time in the last few years, is understand the generations. And as we know, we're living in a very fast times. We're almost at 2020, believe it or not. We're almost at the end of a decade here right now, and time flies, but also things change and people change with regards to communication and how they receive information. Now, we know on social media, for example, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all these mediums of how they deliver information. Now, talk about staying open-minded. Those are 4 groups that have to stay, 4 companies if you want, have to stay open-minded to change. They also understand what this generation needs and requires. Now, in leadership and coaching, especially coaches, is that I believe, especially over the next 5 years, or should I say every 5 years, the generations change. Technology is changing this generation. So are you getting your message across like the social media platforms are? We've seen that Facebook, for example, with the younger generation no longer exists. In fact, I was speaking at an academy where I think it was around about 40 or 50 kids, where I asked, how many of you are on Facebook? And probably 3 put up their hands. So, how are they communicating now? Snapchat, Instagram, super quick information, getting it across. So it's important for you as coaches, and leaders and teachers, whatever it may be, is to adapt to the generation that you're working with, to understand the generation you're working with. Now, contrary to belief, I don't believe that this generation is any more entitled than the ones before. I don't believe that this generation is lazier than the ones before. There's always been entitlement. There's always been laziness. For me, one of the biggest factor is upbringing. If you want to understand why this generation is the way they are, then look at their parents, or look at us, the generations before, Generation X, or Generation Z right now, which is 23-year-olds. Millennials are now 39. I mean, we're in 2019 right now, so maybe you're listening to this podcast in 2 or 3 years' time, but millennials are now 39. They're no longer your younger 17, 18-year-olds as you think they are. But invest in understanding the generations. Understand why they are the way they are, what their background has come from, their upbringing, etc., etc. But today it is so important in a career to understand generations and stay open-minded, of course. Number 3 in staying relevant: be adaptable and embrace change. Now, I had a meeting 2 weeks ago with Coach K, Mike Krzyzewski of Duke basketball. And we chatted for about an hour, and one of the main things he brought up the whole time was about being adaptable, staying flexible. Now, Mike is 72. I don't know the exact number of wins he has, but he's probably the most successful coach in basketball, college basketball today. I mean, his win record is just ridiculous. But one of the key things he spoke about was being adaptable. Now, working with 18 to 22-year-olds as a 72-year-old and staying relevant is quite an achievement. But he understands the lingo. He understands the next generation that's coming through. He understands how they communicate. One of the great things that Coach K has, and I picked that up in our meeting, was humor. And a survey I did 3 years ago with students, 118 students, is what are the top 3 things you look for in a coach? And one of the top 3 things was humor. Every student or every athlete loves to be around a coach that makes them laugh, and it's fun because there's serious work to be done as well. So also embrace change. Again, things are happening so fast, you can be left behind. We've seen in big sports clubs today that they've had to embrace change with regards to technology, with regards to sports science. These are things that, if you're just staying closed-minded, you're going to get left behind. Embrace change. Learn to understand it. For example, every time Facebook makes a change in their design or an iPhone brings out a new feature, everybody is freaking out about it. But you know what? In a month's time, no one's talking about it. And they find it's actually a better way, for example. So what is your attitude when change happens? When the unexpected happens? When the uncontrollable happens? What is your attitude with that? Tony Robbins once said, the difference between successful and unsuccessful people is in how quick they can come up with solutions. Successful people come up with solutions quicker. They adapt to change quicker. Things are going to change tomorrow. Things are going to change in 1 week. If you want to be successful, you need to be able to embrace change, embrace adversity. Can you do that? That's going to be a big thing moving forward. Number 4 in staying relevant: keep evolving and investing in yourself. Now, if you want to stay in the top 7% of your industry, here's what you need to do. Invest in at least 3 conferences a year or workshops, something that helps you within your career or your self-development, for example. Read at least 20 minutes a day and listen to at least 2 to 3 podcasts per week. That will put you in the top 7% of your industry. Okay? It's not that hard. It's easy to do, just like it's not easy to do. All right? It's the choice you make. For me, for example, I make sure I read in the morning. It's part of my morning routine is I get 20 minutes at least. And of course, throughout the day, I get more chances to read in between clients or in between consults or traveling, whatever it may be. Podcasts, I usually listen to podcasts when I run or I work out in the gym or in the car. I can't tell you how much information and how much I've learned just from listening to podcasts between traveling and exercising. So there's always a chance, there's always an opportunity to learn every day. That is how I invest in myself, is at least 3 conferences a year on self-development or something within my career, reading at least 20 minutes a day, and listening to podcasts. Okay, one of the things I do, guys, is I order a book off Amazon once a month as well. So that's a habit I've got into, even though sometimes I usually order more than one book a month and then end up with this pile of books that I haven't read yet, and have to have self-discipline of saying to myself, okay, Alistair, before you order one more book, let's get through these eight first. So maybe you guys can relate to that. So keep evolving, keep learning, stay open-minded, keep investing in yourself every day. It has to be intentional, guys. You're not going to get better by default. You're not going to get better by thinking about it or talking about it. You're going to get better by getting out and taking action. Number 5 in staying relevant, stay curious. Now, George Raveling was the director of basketball with Nike, also a famous basketball coach. He's now 82 or 83. Now, he is one of my inspirations, because he is still relevant today with kids of 15, 16, 20, you name it. And one of the things he spoke about was staying curious, asking questions. Not just taking in information and seeing that as the gospel, but really asking questions as into why and where and how, and really getting curious to find out more about it. This is one of the traits I've seen in the most successful people, is that they stay curious. They want to know new ways of doing things. They stay as Mike Krzyzewski says, Coach K says, they stay open-minded, and they're lifelong learners. They wake up every day wanting to learn more. They stay curious about things. They want to find out more ideas and meet more people. So, guys, are you staying curious? So, guys, there's the 5 things to staying relevant. Number 1, keep open-minded. Number 2, understand the generations. Number 3, be adaptable, embrace change. Number 4, keep evolving and investing in yourself. And number 5, stay curious. So there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed that one with staying relevant. Remember that you can listen to this podcast on YouTube, Champion Minded, and on iTunes. Stay connected. I'm on Twitter at Allistair McCall, Instagram, Be Champion Minded, and on Facebook, Allistair McCall page. Until next time, stay champion minded, guys.